The silver ship drifted silently in orbit above Earth. The 5 alien students sat quietly, each deep in thought. They had learned much over the past weeks. What had begun as a simple question, "Why is Earth called a death world?" had turned into a journey of understanding life, hope, and spirit. Professor Helen looked at them and said, "You have seen many sides of Earth, but now it is time to reflect on what these lessons mean." Kyla, the most curious of the group, broke the silence. "Earth is dangerous, storms, wild animals, earthquakes. But I see now it is more than that. The danger is part of a bigger story." "Yes," Helen agreed. "Earth challenges humans not just to survive the world outside, but to grow inside themselves." Ragok nodded slowly. "I thought danger was only about strength. But humans survive because of their heart." Lumi's glowing light flickered softly. "They feel deeply, pain, love, hope, and that makes them strong." Zor, the philosopher, smiled thoughtfully. "Earth forces humans to face their fears and emotions. This struggle shapes who they are." M7, the logical AI, quietly added, "This combination of physical and emotional challenge is unique." Helen stood and looked out the window at the swirling clouds below. "Humans live with danger every day," she said. "Yet they find reasons to hope, to care, to dream." The students remembered the village where people lived in harmony with nature. They recalled the city where people helped each other through hardship. They thought of the battlefield where humans fought with love and fear mixed together. Earth was a death world. Yes, but it was also a world of courage and heart. Suddenly, a soft alarm sounded from the ship's console. M7 spoke calmly. "Incoming transmission from the Earth Space Agency." Helen opened the channel. A human scientist's face appeared on the screen. "We are sending a message to space," the scientist said. "It is a call for peace and friendship. We want to learn and share with other beings." The students looked at each other in surprise. Kyla whispered, "Humans do not just survive. They reach out," Ragok said. "Even after all their danger, they want friendship." Helen smiled. "That is the true lesson. Earth is not only a death world. It is a place of hope, hope that reaches beyond the stars." The students decided to send a reply. They recorded a message of respect and curiosity. "We have learned much from your planet," they said. "Your strength and heart inspire us. We hope to understand you better and share knowledge." As the message left their ship, the students felt a new bond forming between Earth and the stars beyond. Later, Helen gathered the group for a final discussion. "Earth teaches us that survival is not enough," she said. "We must find meaning, connection, and hope in the struggle." Zor nodded. "This is the true power of a death world. It shapes not just bodies, but souls." Lumi smiled. "Humans feel deeply, and that feeling makes them alive." Kyla said, "I will never forget Earth. It has changed how I see life." Ragok added, "Humans are warriors, and not just of battle, but of spirit," M7 concluded. "Earth is a living example of balance, danger and hope, destruction and creation, pain and love." The ship's engines hummed softly as it began its journey away from Earth. As they traveled through space, the students shared their experiences with their own people. News of Earth's strength and spirit spread across the galaxy. Many species came to study humans, not just as survivors, but as examples of courage and heart. Earth's story became one of hope, a reminder that even in the hardest places, life can thrive. Years later, the 5 students returned to Earth, not as visitors, but as friends. They came to help humans face new challenges, protecting the environment, exploring space, and building a future together. Helen watched proudly as the students shared knowledge and kindness. "Earth is still a death world," she said softly, "but it is also a world of endless possibility." One evening, the students stood together on a hill overlooking a glowing city. Kyla said, "We came here to learn why Earth is a death world." Ragok smiled. "We found the answer, but it is more than we expected." Lumi added, "Earth's danger is real, but so is its hope." Zor looked at the stars and said, "Earth teaches us to be strong inside no matter what comes." M7 quietly said, "And to remember that life is always worth protecting." Helen placed a hand on Kyla's shoulder. "Earth is a mirror. It shows us who we can be." The students looked at the people around them, laughing, loving, and living. Earth was dangerous, yes, but it was also home. A home full of life, hope, and heart. And that was the greatest lesson of all. Commander Elias Wren slowly opened his eyes, but everything around him was strange and unfamiliar. The soft hum of machines filled the quiet room. Soft lights glowed from panels on the walls, casting a calm blue shade over everything. The air smelled clean like a garden after rain. But Elias had no idea where he was. His head felt heavy and his body was weak. He tried to move, but a sharp ache stopped him. Panic rose inside him. Where am I? He thought. Then he saw her. A figure sat beside the bed, watching him with curious eyes. She was not like any person Elias had ever seen before. She was tall and slender, with skin that shimmered softly like lavender. Her hair looked almost like silver threads flowing gently over her shoulders. Her eyes were wide and bright like stars in a night sky. Elias tried to speak, but his throat was dry and his voice barely came out as a whisper. Easy, the woman said softly. Her voice was musical, almost like a song. She smiled gently and reached out her hand to hold his. You held my hand, Elias blinked, confused. I don't remember. The woman giggled lightly, a sound so soft and kind it made Elias relax a little. You held my hand for 3 days, Commander. Even when you were unconscious. Elias stared at her hand, still holding his. He didn't remember, but somehow her touch felt familiar and comforting. My name is Kayla T., she said, her eyes shining with kindness. I am your nurse. You're safe here. Elias looked around the room again. The bed he lay on was smooth and comfortable. Machines monitored his body's signs, heartbeats, breathing, and something else he did not understand. A small window showed stars and distant planets moving slowly outside. He was definitely not on Earth. Where am I? Elias asked, his voice still weak. You are aboard the Kindred Light, Kaylati replied. A ship of the Valari. Valari? Elias repeated, trying to sit up, but a gentle hand pressed his shoulder down. Rest for now, Kaylati said with a soft smile. Your body needs time to heal. Elias closed his eyes and tried to remember what had happened before he woke up here. He saw flashes in his mind, his ship, the Intrepid, a peaceful mission to explore a newly discovered star system. But then everything became chaos, explosions, screams, and then nothing. His heart ached for his crew. Were they alive? He wondered. Tell me what happened, Elias said quietly. Kaylati looked away, her silver eyes distant and sad. You were found in the ruins of a battle. Your ship was destroyed. Elias felt a cold fear rise inside him. A battle? But why? Kaylati hesitated. There's much tension between the Concordance, the group of species including humans and others. Some do not trust each other. Conflict broke out near the warp gate. Elias swallowed hard. He remembered the political talks, the distrust, the fear that had been growing for months. He had hoped for peace, but it seemed the universe was not ready. Kaylati's voice was gentle as she said, You saved me, Commander. Even though you were badly hurt, you held my hand and did not let go. Elias looked into her eyes, confused. Why? Kaylati smiled softly, her cheeks coloring slightly, a human-like blush. Because you are human, Elias frowned. What does that mean? Kaylati's smile grew. Humans do not give up easily. They fight for what is right. You showed courage and kindness. That is why I stayed with you. Elias felt a strange warmth inside. He had been trained for war, but also for mercy. To protect others, even if it meant risking himself. Will my crew be okay? He asked. Kaylati's smile faded. Some were saved, others. We do not know. Elias nodded, feeling a heavy weight on his chest. Can I move? He asked after a while. Kaylati helped him sit up slowly. You are stronger now, but do not push yourself. Elias looked at his body. His left arm was wrapped in a translucent bandage that pulsed softly with light. Strange marks showed beneath the skin, biotech implants that seemed to be healing his wounds. How did you do this? Elias asked. Kaylati touched his arm gently. Valari medicine uses living technology. It heals faster than human methods. You are lucky, Elias smiled weakly. I guess I am. Kaylati laughed again, a sound like soft bells. I am glad you are here with us, Elias. He looked at her, surprised she knew his name. You will stay with us until you are well, she said. Then you must decide what comes next. Elias's mind was racing. Could he go back to Earth? Could he return to his mission? Or was his life changed forever now? Kailati stood and moved to the door, then looked back. "Try to rest," she said. "I will be here when you wake." As the door slid closed, Elias lay back on the bed staring at the stars beyond the window. Somewhere out there his crew was waiting. But for now he was not alone, and the hand he held was warm. Days passed slowly for Commander Elias Wren aboard the Kindred Light. The strange new world around him felt like a dream he could not wake from. But Kailati was there every day, always smiling, patient, and kind. She helped him learn about the ship and about the Valari, her people. Elias's body was growing stronger, but his mind was still full of questions. "Why did you save me?" Elias asked one afternoon, watching the stars through a large window that curved over the ship's hull. Kailati smiled softly. "Because you needed help. Because I believed in kindness, and because I saw the courage in you." Elias nodded slowly. "I remember bits and pieces. Our mission was to explore the star system near the collapsed warp gate. We hoped to find new planets, maybe new friends." Kailati's eyes darkened. "The Concordance does not see it that way. Many fear the humans. They think you are too quick to fight, too strong." "Maybe they are right to be afraid," Elias said quietly. "We have grown fast. Sometimes faster than we should." Kailati's voice was gentle. "But you also hold on to hope. That is what saved you and me." Their conversations became a daily ritual. Elias learned that the Valari were explorers like humans, curious, peaceful, and wise in their own way. But they were different too. Their world was built on science and trust. War was rare among them. One day, Kailati took Elias to the ship's library. Walls of glowing screens displayed history, maps, and stories from across the galaxy. "Here," she said, "you can learn about the Concordance and why war broke out." Elias sat down and touched the screen. Images appeared. Ships clashing near a star, voices shouting orders, terrified people running. He saw his own ship, the Intrepid, under fire. Kailati's voice was soft behind him. "The Concordance was formed to keep peace. But when fear grows, even peace can break," Elias frowned. "And humans? What do they want?" "To be free, to be safe." "Like all beings," Kailati said simply. Elias nodded, thinking of his crew and Earth. He felt a sudden pain, the loss of friends and family who might never return. That night, he dreamed of his ship burning in silence, of the faces of his friends. But then in the darkness a hand reached out and held his own. He woke with a start and saw Kailati sitting beside him, her eyes shining with understanding. "You held my hand," she whispered, "even when you could not speak." Elias smiled weakly. "I didn't want you to be afraid." Kailati laughed softly. "I was not. I felt safe." Days turned to weeks. Elias slowly learned to trust Kailati and the others aboard the Kindred Light. Yet not everyone was kind. Some Valari officers looked at him with suspicion. "Why should we trust a human?" one asked coldly during a meeting. Kailati stood up for him. "Because he saved my life. Because he showed us that humans can be brave and kind." But the question lingered. Elias knew that some saw him as a danger, a symbol of conflict. One evening, as Elias was resting in his room, the door slid open. A stern-looking Valari officer stepped inside. "Commander Wren," she said, "you are required to attend a council meeting. Your presence is requested." Elias stood up, feeling his heart race. "What is this about?" "The Concordance needs answers," the officer replied. "You are to explain the human role in the recent conflicts." Elias looked at Kailati, who gave him a small nod. "I will be with you," she said. The council chamber was vast and bright. Aliens of many shapes and colors sat in a circle. The air was tense. Elias stepped forward, his voice steady. "I am Commander Elias Wren. I was on a mission of peace. Our ship was attacked near the warp gate. I was the only survivor." A Valari council member leaned forward. "Why did the humans attack?" "We have reports that your fleet fired first." Elias shook his head. "No, we tried to talk, but fear led to mistakes." "I regret what happened." Another alien spoke sharply. "Humans have grown strong too fast. They threaten the balance." Kailati stood up, her voice calm but firm. "Not all humans are the same. Elias saved me when no one else would. He showed courage and kindness." Elias looked around the room. Some faces softened. Others stayed hard. The council was divided. Some wanted to trust Elias. Others wanted to see him punished. After long debate, The council decided to keep Elias under observation, but allow him freedom aboard the ship. Elias was relieved but knew the struggle was not over. Back in his room, Kailati sat beside him. "You did well," she said. They listened. Elias smiled. "Thanks to you," Kailati laughed softly. "You held my hand first." The days that followed were filled with training, learning, and preparation. Elias knew he must prove that humans could be more than warriors. One afternoon, while exploring the ship, Elias saw the stars beyond the viewport. "Do you think there can be peace?" he asked Kailati. She looked at him, hope shining in her eyes. "I believe so, because you are here." Suddenly, an alarm sounded. The ship shook gently. Kailati's eyes widened. "The Concordance fleet is moving. Tensions are rising." Elias stood ready. "Then we must be ready too." Together they prepared to face the unknown, knowing that their bond was a small light in the dark universe. Commander Elias Wren stood before the Concordance Council, in a room larger than any he had ever seen. The walls glowed softly with lights that changed color depending on the speaker's mood. Around him sat representatives of many different alien species, some with shimmering scales, others with many eyes or limbs. They watched him carefully, their expressions serious. Elias felt the weight of their gaze. He was far from home, a stranger in a vast galaxy filled with fear and suspicion. Yet he was here not as a prisoner, but as someone who needed to prove something more important, that humanity could be trusted. Kailati stood by his side, her lavender skin glowing softly. Her calm presence gave Elias strength. The council's leader, a tall figure with eyes like liquid silver, spoke first. "Commander Wren, your arrival here is unexpected. We know your ship was destroyed near the warp gate, but many question your role in the events that followed. Explain yourself." Elias took a deep breath. "I am Commander Elias Wren of Earth. Our mission was to explore new systems and seek peace with other species. When we arrived near the warp gate, we tried to communicate with the Concordance forces stationed there. But something went wrong. Fear and confusion led to conflict. Our ship was destroyed." He looked around the room, meeting the eyes of those who doubted him. "I did not want war. I wanted peace." One council member, a tall creature with feathers instead of hair, stood. "Your memories will be reviewed. We have technology that allows us to see into your mind, your thoughts, your intentions." Elias nodded. Prepared for the process. The device was placed on his head, a cool metal band that sent gentle pulses through his brain. Suddenly the council saw what Elias saw. They watched his memories, his attempts to communicate, his crew rushing to help injured soldiers, the panic and chaos as weapons were fired, the explosion that destroyed the Intrepid, and then, the moment Elias was unconscious but still held the hand of Kailati as debris fell around them. The room was silent as the council members processed the images. Kailati spoke softly. "He saved me when no one else could. He showed kindness even when he was afraid." The silver-eyed leader nodded slowly. "These memories are true, but some still question the intentions of humanity. Your species has grown powerful quickly. That makes others uneasy." Elias's voice was firm. "Power should not be feared if it is used with respect. Humans are capable of great kindness as well as courage." A younger council member with eyes like pools of deep blue asked, "But why did your fleet react with force so quickly? Could it be that humans are too aggressive?" Elias thought carefully. "Humans are strong and sometimes quick to act. But that does not mean we are violent. We make mistakes, sometimes big ones. I am here to learn from those mistakes." Kailati stepped forward. "He is not alone in this. Many humans want peace. They want to be part of the greater community." The debate went on for hours. Some council members argued for strict punishment, believing that humans could not be trusted. Others urged caution and understanding. At last, the leader raised his hand. "This council is divided. Commander Wren will remain aboard the Kindred Light under observation. He will have freedom within the ship, but must answer any questions. The Concordance will watch closely." Elias bowed his head in respect. "Thank you. I will do everything to prove humanity's good intentions." Outside the council chamber, Kailati smiled. "You did well." Elias smiled back, though his heart was heavy. He knew this was only the beginning. The days that followed were filled with training and diplomacy. Elias worked closely with the Valari scientists and diplomats aboard the ship. He learned their customs, their ways of thinking, and taught them about humanity in return. Kailati was always by his side, his guide, friend, and sometimes his greatest challenge. Their bond grew stronger with each passing day. One evening, as Elias walked through the ship's gardens filled with strange glowing plants, Kailati joined him. "Do you believe the Concordance will ever trust humans?" Elias asked quietly. Kailati looked up at the stars visible through the glass ceiling. "Trust takes time, but trust begins with understanding." Elias nodded. "Then we must keep trying." Suddenly, the ship's alarm sounded. Red lights flashed. Kailati's expression changed. "Something is wrong." The ship's captain appeared, speaking quickly to Elias and Kailati. "We have detected movement near the border of Concordance space. A rogue faction is attacking a human colony." Elias's heart sank. "War is coming." Kailati's voice was steady. "We must act wisely." Together, they prepared to send a message to the Concordance assembly, hoping to prevent more bloodshed. As the kindred light moved toward the assembly station, Elias and Kailati stood side by side. "Whatever happens," Elias said, "thank you for believing in me." Kailati smiled softly. "You held my hand when I needed it. Now I will stand with you." The journey ahead was uncertain, but their hope was clear. The kindred light moved steadily through the quiet darkness of space, stars glittering like scattered jewels beyond the thick windows. Commander Elias Wren stood beside Kailati on the observation deck, their hands brushing lightly as they watched the endless sky. The tension in the ship was thick. News had come that a rogue faction of the Concordance had attacked a human colony. The attack was sudden and brutal, threatening to ignite a war no one wanted. Earth's fleet was already moving to defend its people, but the Concordance was divided, some calling for peace, others for retaliation. Elias clenched his jaw. The weight of responsibility was heavy. He had survived a battle once, but now the chance for a greater conflict loomed before him. Kailati's voice was calm beside him. "The assembly will meet soon. They will decide what to do, but we both know that words alone may not stop the fire." Elias nodded. "Then we have to do more." They had spent weeks preparing a message to the assembly, a plea for peace and understanding. Elias wanted to speak directly to the leaders, not as a soldier or commander, but as a representative of humanity and a witness to the hope that kindness could bring. Kailati smiled, reaching for his hand. "Together, we will try." Their journey to the Concordance assembly station was tense and dangerous. Pirates and other opportunists roamed the space between systems, preying on weakened ships. The kindred light was fast and well armed, but Elias knew that speed and weapons would not be enough. One night, as the ship glided silently through a dense asteroid field, alarms blared. "Pirate ships approaching!" the captain shouted. Elias and Kailati rushed to the command center where crew members worked swiftly to defend the ship. Lasers flashed in the darkness outside as small fighters swarmed the kindred light. Kailati's eyes were fierce as she assisted the crew, using her knowledge of the ship's systems to coordinate defenses. Elias fought alongside the pilots, feeling the rush of battle but also the fear of losing everything they had fought for. The fight was short, but intense. Thanks to the skill of the crew and Kailati's calm guidance, the pirates were driven away. Breathing heavily, Elias turned to Kailati. "We make a good team," she laughed softly. "I think so." After the attack, the ship needed repairs and the journey took longer than planned. During the quiet moments, Elias and Kailati grew closer. They shared stories of their worlds, of Earth's green forests and blue oceans, and of the Valari's vast crystal cities and peaceful lakes. One evening, as they sat in the ship's small garden room, Elias looked at Kailati and said, "I never thought I would find someone like you in this vast universe." Kailati smiled, her eyes glowing gently. "Nor I you." She reached out and took his hand in hers. The simple touch spoke of trust and hope. At last, they arrived at the assembly station, a massive ring-shaped structure orbiting a bright star. Aliens from countless worlds moved about, their voices filling the great halls. Elias and Kailati were escorted to the assembly chamber, where leaders awaited. Elias stood before them, feeling the weight of history on his shoulders. He began, his voice clear and steady. "I am Commander Elias Wren of Earth. I come not as a soldier, but as a messenger of peace." He spoke of the attack on the colony, the fears that led to violence and the hope that could bring healing. Kaladi followed, translating his words into the many languages of the assembly. When he could have hated, she said softly, he chose to protect. When he could have let go, he held my hand. The assembly listened. Some moved, others skeptical. After long debate, they agreed to halt further attacks and open new talks for peace. Elias felt a weight lift from his chest. It was not the end, but a new beginning. Back on the kindred light, Elias and Kailati stood together on the observation deck, hands still joined. "Thank you," Elias said quietly. Kailati smiled. "No, thank you." The stars stretched endlessly before them, a reminder that even in the darkest places, light could be found.